Welcome to IT Live, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Joe Cook. That's Justin Wells. That's Ian Boyd. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And, of course, if you've not done so yet, go to InsideTexas.com. Use that first link in our description. Yeah, tell them. Use that first link in our description. Use that QR code at the top left of the screen. Sign up for just $1. I know. Why wouldn't people take advantage of this opportunity? Sign up for just $1. You can get all the best recruiting insight, all the best information about the Texas Longhorns over on Inside Texas. We're breaking down the schedule. We're breaking down everything related to the Texas Longhorns. So go over there, check it out, QR code that you saw there, or go ahead and use that first link in our description. We got a packed show today. We get to talk a little. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're homesick, so trying to make sure everybody's okay. Operating downstairs today, and lots of thoughts on the 2026 schedule. You got to see the Vanderbilt game, but they're not on the schedule this year. We're going to go into that, and I think Utah Horn gives us a good diving off point. Ian, I actually think this 2026 schedule will be easier considering Ohio State's at home. Longhorns don't have Georgia. Florida's in Austin, and not worried about the Aggies with what they lost on offense. What do you think about that?
I think those all make a certain amount of sense. A&M it's very hard to know what to make of A&M right now because they may have as much talent or more than last year, but they have a lot of question marks. It's not clear who the starters are and how all the pieces fit. It's not clear how they'll do without Colin Klein and with an internal hire on offense. Some of their offensive line takes, it feels like, who do they have it? It feels like their front office has been really good at scouting the transfer portal in previous years. But this year it seemed like they got a bunch of guys from other SEC teams to build their offensive line that weren't that great at the other SEC teams.
That's when that comes toward the end of the year, obviously. There's a lot of different, conversations about who will be up there. LSU being the game. That's when I think a lot of Texas fans are looking forward to, just because that 2020 game got wiped out with COVID. But when you're thinking, Justin, about, I know we kind of talked about stretch of the schedule, and I may have talked about that with either Ari Wasserman or somebody else not long ago. We'll get into it, but is there a stretch of the schedule that you see right now that's like, oh boy, that's going to be one to really handle?
Not like last year when they were on the road for, it felt like a month and a half. Like that seemed like a pretty rough stretch. I'm trying to think exactly when everybody is playing. I don't think there isn't one that stands out to me, unlike last year. Like I said, last year was much different when the year before, when they saw all the home games they had kind of early on, you thought, well, that's going to flip on them in another year, and it did. And they were away from home for, 6 weeks almost. I don't see one necessarily. I honestly think it's kind of spread out. You get a big gun, it feels like, or a big game each month. You got one in September, one in October, a couple in November, or a couple in October, one in November. I think it's kind of spread out this year.
Go ahead.
November is close because you get this is a good year to be a season ticket holder, by the way. But November you go at Missouri, at LSU, Arkansas at home, and then at A&M.
Yeah.
So 3 SEC road games in 4 weeks, and A&M and LSU are probably going to be good, and Missouri might also be good, and LSU and A&M could even be great. I'd probably only bet on LSU being great out of those 4 teams. But we saw last year in the stretch that Justin was talking about, Kentucky and Mississippi State didn't have to be great for the toll of that month long away from Texas to really add up on the Longhorns. So I think that one is pretty tough. I think overall the previous poster was right. There's not the scary Georgia game. There's not the scary Ohio State game. So if you're looking for likely losses, the schedule might have less likely losses than the last year's, but I think top to bottom, it's a tougher schedule.
So you talked a little bit about, I mean, we're talking right now mostly about the schedule and the dates and stuff like that. But Ian, what you wrote about earlier today is some of the styles that they're going to see on the schedule. And Z Williams, you've been kind of talking, and we'll get into this when we talk about the Sooners. Trell Harris, that was a big transfer for Oklahoma. You also mentioned that Kevin Wilson still consultant, or where is he at? Is he at Arkansas? I don't know where Kevin Wilson ended up. He's kind of in the
He's at Oklahoma.
Okay. But this is more. Excuse me. This what you wrote earlier today is a little bit more about styles and how the number of spread offenses that Texas is going to see in different style of spread offenses is really going to challenge Will Muschamp in his first year.
Yeah, they have it's like 10 or 11 out of 12 or 9 or 10 out of 12 games are against spread teams. The non-conference, except for Ohio State will probably be maybe the opposite of that. But everybody else, except for Florida, maybe will be a spread team. And worse than that, a lot of them will be good spread teams. Not like if you played UTSA is, probably a spread team, but they're probably not even going to be very good. I don't even know who their quarterback is next year. Justin, you might know.
Is it McCown still?
No, McCown's gone, right?
Who?
So, UTSA.
I think it's Owen McCown, right?
Is he back?
I think he stuck around. Yeah.
I think he still has another year left.
I could have maybe included him, although I don't know if he's much of a dual threat.
He's not a dual threat, but he's
a veteran.
He's gonna spin that pill on Sundays. I know that.
Yeah, and Texas State has a dude. It's a lot of proven quarterbacks and spread offenses in the schedule. Some of them are downright scary.
And so I don't like glossing over the G5 games. I think it is worth noting that Texas G5 opponents compared to what they could play, probably bowl teams. I think we'll see on Texas State. I think UTSA is a bowl team. But the main start is not necessarily a big spread offense, that runs the air raid or runs a veer and shoot. It's something in Ohio State, and they're bringing in Arthur Smith to probably run the Ryan Day offense.
Arthur Smith is really big on tight ends and running the ball. Their new offensive coordinator. And Ryan Day keeps kind of defaulting back to that. Seems like Ryan Day's takeaway from all those shellackings against Michigan was we need to be physical and run the ball. And he just doubled down on it harder every year. So Texas will probably get that from Ohio State, which is, I think, a blessing to Texas. But that'll be a challenge. And then so they have that early on, and then after that, it's all dual threat spread teams.
Justin, it seems like Ohio State of the teams they're going to face, and Florida might run in there, but I'm kind of curious what Buster Faulkner does with Aaron Philo. But Ohio State's going to have, and honestly, Florida's going to have weapons on the outside to where, yeah, they'll have the run the ball mentality with, big blocking pieces. But when you got Jeremiah Smith and when you got, Chris Henry Jr. is going to be there at Ohio State. You got Dallas Wilson, Vermeil Brown. And you combine that with the running backs that Ohio State's going to have. I forgot who their main guy is going to be. Bo Jackson probably. Florida is still going to have Jaden Ball. Like, those two offenses are going to be pro-style threats, but also still pro-style offenses with as far as running the ball, but they're still going to have those talented receivers outside for Sayin, and we'll see on Philo, but Sayin to throw to.
Yeah, I agree with Ian when he talked about how Day had doubled down on being on physicality. I mean, because that's Harbaugh's MO, essentially. So if you could finally match that, then that's where you could start winning that game. But don't get it twisted. Julian Sayin can throw the football. Like he is a really, really pretty passer. And he's got some guys to throw it to. You get Jeremiah Smith for one more season. I don't think Ryan Day is going to waste that. Like, I think you should probably lean into that more. as a matter of fact. And like you said, it remains to be seen with Florida. But those are big playmakers. Like I'm thinking to myself right now, who's going to lock up Jeremiah Smith? Manny Muhammad's gone. I'm thinking, who's going to guard Dallas Wilson? Manny Muhammad's gone. And so I think those guys are going to I think you're going to see Texas is going to be able to stop the run. I felt like, man, I think the secondary is going to get tested pretty early.
Secondary is going to get tested a lot. And we go into SEC play now, and they get the veer and shoot. And it's the Josh Heupel version of the veer and shoot. He's still calling plays there, I believe, for the Volunteers. Probably moving on to – we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be like. And Paul touched on this the other day. It could be
would it be Brandon Faison?
It's either Brandon Faison or George McIntyre. George McIntyre, does that sound right?
Yes, it does.
And so they've got a quarterback battle. Their receivers, they had a lot of turnover on that offense, and they're still going to have some quality players. But, Ian, this is something that, again, I know it was Kirby Smart, and I know it was also what's the main Georgia defensive guy right now? Glenn Schumann technically calling it, but Aguilar and this Tennessee group put up a lot of points, and probably if they had a kicker make his field goal, should have beaten the Bulldogs last year. Does that really cause a little concern? I mean, it kind of feels like the tone of your article is like all these offenses are good, but do you feel like maybe the veer and shoot as opposed to the air raid is something that will pose a few more challenges to Texas this year?
I think the dual threat versus not dual threat will be the bigger factor.
There you go.
Tennessee is either going to have a pocket passer who's pretty young or a dual threat who is super young. Right? So
they've got some nice toys at receiver, Ian. They really
I know. Do. Their line is probably going to be better as well.
Mike Matthews is going to be a stud.
They made changes too last year. They got a lot more creative on offense last year. It's like I don't know if they brought in somebody different or if they just went and studied with Lebby or Kiffin for a while, or they just started copying Lebby and Kiffin on their own. But Tennessee got a lot smarter and better last year. I would be pretty scared of that game if Aguilar was back or if they had gotten a
Levitt. Levitt was
or somebody in the portal of that. Yeah. Anybody in the portal, but they didn't. So that one is a little less scary. There's like 4 veer and shoot style teams on the schedule because Texas State is like that.
Really?
Tennessee is like that. Mississippi State and LSU.
You say Texas State is more veer and shoot?
I call them a copycat version of it. They like the wide splits.
Yeah,
they're from like they're from the Rhett Lashley tree, I think.
I just know GJ Kinney, and so I'm trying to. That's definitely not his background, but he would.
It's not, but they've all trended a little bit in that.
Evolved into it. I think they've evolved into it.
They've taken stuff from it that has obvious value.
Right. Bits and pieces of different things to kind of form their own thing. Yeah.
Kiffin has done that as well.
Absolutely.
But they all have
it at Ole Miss and then stopped doing it. I mean, and then kind of veered away from it when Lebby left.
So a little bit.
After Tennessee, which, well, I mean, again, when we talk about the schedule aspect of it, going on the road, Texas has to play at at least 2 100,000 seat stadiums this year. Tennessee's always big. Somebody's trying to knock something over behind me. Tennessee's always, got 100-something thousand there, and Kyle Field's going to be popping too. But then they get the Cotton Bowl, and they get what I'm going to anticipate is going to be a healthier version of John Mateer, and therefore someone who will help out that offense because he'll be able to run the ball maybe more effectively or be willing to risk running the ball a little bit more.
They'll risk anything and everything at Oklahoma to win a game. They'll
including their quarterback's thumb.
They'll duct tape the quarterback's thumb together. They'll put a guy that tried to run through that almost ran through the stadium wall back on the field. They'll do whatever. Yeah. So we'll see how it works this year. Obviously what you're getting at is that Mateer needs to stay healthier. They need him to be more aggressive throwing deep and to stop defaulting to the scramble so that he can stay healthier so that he can throw deep. Because they had kind of a vicious cycle last year where he was a little hesitant to throw deep and he would run instead. And then he got beat up and it looked like he just couldn't throw deep anymore. And they'd get guys running wide open and teams would ignore it and he still wouldn't throw it and he'd still try to run. So there's a lot of improvement that needs to happen there. But they did get our guy Parker Livingston and they got Trell Harris. So their personnel and offense should be like twice as good probably as it was last year.
Florida,
I think.
Florida, Ole Miss. How do they compare to what we're talking about?
They don't. They're like the other exception.
Okay.
Explain. I haven't watched a lot of Summerall, but the impression I've had is that Summerall is more kind of like Napier. That he like wants to like run the ball, put tight ends on the field, stuff like that.
A little more traditional.
Some of those G5 teams these days are kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, it's easier to implement that, especially when the faces are changing so rapidly these days.
That might be it. Maybe they can just find those guys more easily in the Sun Belt too.
The one thing about this is going to be there's a difference between, and I wonder where you draw the line on this. Like if it's maybe in between Florida and Oklahoma, like quarterback run as a constraint and then quarterback run as a feature. And then there's only one Haynes King. I think all this whole podcast is all big members of the Haynes King fan club. But that's what Buster Faulkner used to a ton at Georgia Tech. And I'm wondering, obviously, if Aaron Philo is someone that they asked to replace Haynes King and did for a couple games, if it's going to be something that's seen more as a feature instead of maybe something that's just a constraint, kind of like what Texas uses it as.
Who are these men you're referring to? Are these Florida people?
Buster Faulkner's the offensive coordinator. I know. Buster Faulkner's the offensive coordinator at Florida. He was Georgia Tech's offensive coordinator for Key. And he was Haynes King's offensive coordinator. And then Aaron Philo was King's backup at Tech and played a few games for him when King couldn't go.
Right.
And that's who Florida brought in. I don't know if that Tramel Jones kid stayed. He had some good reps at the end of last year.
I don't know either. That's a good question.
But Philo's the guy they brought in to, I think, run things. But basically, do you see quarterback run? Where's the line on it being a constraint or a feature?
For Texas, it's probably most dangerous this coming year as a constraint because Muschamp is so big on man coverage and man match coverage. And this has been a thing for Georgia as well. And it was a thing for Muschamp back in the day. Like people can probably remember a couple times at Texas where Texas got caught by scrambling quarterbacks, or that very notable game where Muschamp was at Florida and he played an air raid team from A&M that had a previously unknown guy named Johnny Manziel at quarterback. I bet you both remember pretty well how that went. So when you're relying a lot on man coverage, your guys are carrying receivers out of the box. They're turning their backs to the quarterback, and then that's when the runner gets really dangerous. The run as the quarterback run as a feature is probably not it. I mean, that's dangerous against anyone because it's just a good advantage for the offense. But I would say that's less of a problem for Muschamp or Georgia in particular than the scrambling. And a lot of these guys are really dangerous scrambling. A lot of these guys can throw the ball around and then will also take off and run if you turn your backs to them.
Justin, go ahead.
Well, it's all right. We'll get to the list in a little bit.
So one thing I'm curious about, and actually, I think now's a good time to hit the break before we do that. So,
So
real quick,
we need to pay the bills.
we got to pay the bills. Academy, can you help us out real fast?
You can't guard me? You need a break? L tonight. Do you need a break? Come on!
Ben! Your mom called. Looks like you're stuck with us tonight.
Let's go! Give me that shred.
That's a good commercial. This is kind of funny because one of her favorite toys is a cowbell. My wife's from the Starkville area. So Mississippi State kind of has some presence in our home, even though she went to UT. So this little one will start ringing the cowbell over and over again. So she may not like this portion of the conversation, but Justin, I'm kind of curious, not so much the Trinidad Chambliss just being back and that taking its presence within the sport, but I feel like with whatever Ole Miss is running with John David Baker and with Chambliss back, it's going to set a floor that Golding and that whole program hopes they can get a good bounce off of going forward without Lane Kiffin.
That's the question. Without Lane Kiffin, I think Chambliss is a tremendous talent. I just think maybe you're going to they'll have some of the residual effect from last year. They'll have some of the carryover, and I think they'll be able to do some stuff there. But more as the season plays out, I think he'll start figuring out tendencies with Baker, and I think he'll start figuring out exactly kind of how Golding wants to run this thing. Honestly, I think they may put it on autopilot. I think they may just let Chambliss be the joystick and just sort of do everything, run everything through him. I think that's probably their best offense this year. I'm not really sure how they did in the portal. They did really well the last few years. But that's going to be the question. I mean, Lane Kiffin was hired by LSU because he calls plays. He draws up plays. He creates an offense. And I think the carryover is still going to be there for a little while. But after a few months, they'll start showing their true colors. And we'll start to see exactly what they do well and most notably what they don't do well. And that's going to be something Golden's going to have to figure out too.
We'll get to Lane and his evolution in a minute. I don't know John David Baker's background, but if it is more Rady, as you note, Ian, that feels like it could be one of those offenses in the SEC that's just like, oh, they're scoring 35 points a game, and can this defensive coordinator, head coach, actually stop his opponents? Like that type of program this upcoming year.
Yeah, I think so. I believe that Golding is returning a lot of their better players from last year on the defensive line, though, except for
Prince Will.
Prince Will, maybe the best one, got poached by LSU, but I think they kept Eccles, right? The defensive tackle, and some other guys.
I don't remember him being there are so many names that if I didn't hear them, because we scoured the portal so much, I'm just going to assume that they stayed,
Yeah, I haven't deep dove the Rebel roster yet, but I think your characterization is probably about right. Pete Golding will try to be good on defense, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's also the sort of guy that is like, I want to win, and I'm going to play defense to get the ball back to my offense and generate turnovers and take some risks. And I don't mind winning a shootout if that's what he seems more like that kind of guy than I'm going to shut you down and you're not going to score. He's very different from Schumann and Smart. He's aggressive in a way that they are not.
I'm really curious how that goes, because there's a couple things that, and I think they find workarounds for this, but there's some law within the state of Mississippi that public employees, which technically football coaches are, can't sign deals longer than 4 years. And I think they found some athletic department workaround when they were trying to court Lane, but I don't know if Pete Golding got that. He may have, but it's not, I don't think, apples to apples with Zach Arnett, even though it's in the same state. But if somehow they go 7-5 with Chambliss, I wonder if they're flush, let's start again, Justin.
I didn't know that question was going to be so loaded. I mean, that's honestly, it kind of felt like they went with Golding just to maintain continuity in the playoffs. And honestly, I don't necessarily fault them for that. But long term, is Pete Golding the answer? That's a big question that AD tried to answer. They don't know that yet. If this thing goes sideways, I could easily see them, switching gears. Didn't something similar happen to Ohio State about 10 years ago? I'm trying to remember who they went from.
Well, they when Urban got in trouble, they gave Fickle an interim year. Or no. When Tressel got in trouble,
Right.
Fickle an interim year, and he went 6-6.
Yeah, and they canned him immediately.
And then Ohio State brought in Urban, but Fickle was always an interim. Like, he wasn't going to be a long-term guy. And then they brought in Urban, and they go undefeated, but it was like the year they couldn't compete for anything. A surprise, ironically, one of Urban's best teams.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like if Ole Miss came open under normal circumstances, and of course
Pete Golding wouldn't be the coach.
Yeah, and I think he's definitely going to he's been around long enough to be like Power 5 head coach candidate.
Yes.
But would he have gotten an SEC job right away?
I don't think so. I don't see it that way. I think Ole Miss would have gone big game hunting, similar to what they did with Lane Kiffin. I think that they would try to repeat that, see that do that because they'd had some success with it. Man, if they go 500, 7-5, Golding probably doesn't last another year. There's just too many moving parts in the SEC these days, and honestly, it would even look worse if they did with Chambliss, because the kid's coming off of All-American season. If you can't win more than 7 games with a 27-year-old quarterback, I don't know what you're doing here.
I still can't believe Chambliss was only, and I know it's the Heisman, so whatever. He was only 8th, and I know that kind of had to do with not being the starter earlier in the year. But he finished
that and some other stuff. But listen, I thought Jeremiah Love was the Heisman Trophy winner. Then I watched the playoffs. And then I realized I was wrong. Like, Jeremiah Love had the best season, but the best player in college football was Fernando Mendoza. He proved that. Anybody that doubted it, watch their last 3 or 4 games.
Yeah,
he was immaculate. And so, listen, Golding's been gifted. Like, your first big job, and you've got a returning, starting all-conference quarterback, buddy. You better not go 7-5. I promise you, that won't end well in Oxford.
I think Chambliss might have been the best player last year.
Best player in college football?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, buddy, did you
get to watch
the playoffs? Did you not get to watch the playoffs this year?
Did you watch the playoffs?
I DVR'd him. DVR'd him if you need to see him again.
Chambliss was
everything for Ole Miss.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it
still didn't matter.
That's the thing. And if Chambliss, there's no doubt in my mind that Chambliss would be getting first round money or early second round money this year. And I got to cough again.
Oh, I'm not going to agree with that.
It's not a great quarterback draft.
It's not. It really is not. I don't think Chambliss is a first round quarterback.
He might not have a first round grade, but he would be a first round quarterback this year.
I don't know. Ian, what do you think?
He might sneak up higher for staying another year. The NFL is really starting to appreciate guys that come in at 23 or 24 that have played a ton, because they get a lot better. And then when you try to do that rookie scale trick where you pay your quarterback a rookie scale contract and then you use the savings to build out the rest of your roster, that probably works a lot better with a 24-year-old Bo Nix or a Trinidad Chambliss than it does with a 21-year-old CJ Stroud, or a young whoever else that hasn't played as much and bailed early because the physical tools were so good. I think it's possible that it didn't sound like he was getting a first round grade this year. You never know what the people talk themselves into, though.
Yes.
But next year, I wonder if he could, because remember, Baker Mayfield stuck around for forever. And then when he finally went, he went like what, like third or something, or
He was
first?
number one overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baker was. I think Baker's a better quarterback than Chambers.
Yeah. Well,
And
Yeah.
I think his
That's
success
true.
with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers bores that out.
Yeah, I thought so at the time.
No, too. I'm with you too. Like I was hesitant, but
Baker-
honestly, Cleveland Browns are just poison. Like no franchise kills a career quicker. And so the fact that he got out of there and did what he did, and I think we've seen that in the NFL this year, it was like a rejuvenation of guys. Sam Darnold won a Super Bowl. That guy bounced around for 5 years, and that's a guy we covered in Southern California in 2017.
Nobody really talked about Baker like that until after that last year, though.
You mean when he won the Heisman?
Did he win the Heisman his last year?
yes.
Yeah. Until then,
He had one
I
of the
don't pay
best
attention to the
seasons
Heisman.
ever.
The Heisman is dumb.
Yeah,
But-
thank you, Paul.
But his the year before that, when he came back, it wasn't like, boy, he's given up first round money, right?
Well, it wasn't available to him. I see what you mean. I don't know. It's hard for me to.
No. When he came back for his extra year,
Oh, right. Well, who was
the
this?
discussion wasn't, boy, he's a surefire NFL guy. Why did he go back to Oklahoma? It was, of course, he went back to Oklahoma. He's short. He's like a dual threat. He's more of a college guy than an NFL guy. And then he came back for that last year and was awesome.
Shredded.
And then people were like, you know what? I think actually he's an NFL guy too.
That
Well,
was awesome.
he always had the NFL arm, but it was just some other things they wanted to figure out, and size was part of that.
The 2017 draft, if he had left and not had his Heisman year, it had Trubisky, Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and I'm missing one. So maybe it could have been the one that he should have done. I don't know. Quickly though, let's keep it going quickly on Mississippi State. Not much change there. They do have a new quarterback though. I know they brought in Jaden Rashada, but that's just a depth chart piece. It's the guy who threw one of the touchdowns that wasn't Blake Shapen.
Mario something.
Williams.
Mario Taylor.
Like
that's. I think Mississippi State, they try to go to the bargain bin as best they can, but stylistically, you're not going to see. That is one of the more pure distillations of the veer and shoot at the current juncture. Correct?
I'm not sure because Lebby got with Kiffin at Ole Miss. And I think it was there that Lebby figured out, like, hey, this spacing thing works two ways. We can create problems in attack space by sending our receivers way out wide, or we can do it the pro way and by bringing them in really tight. So, like, Lebby and Kiffin were, like, some of the first guys to do that. Now Tennessee mixes that in, and Kenny and Lashley and those guys mix that in. But he's definitely – so they're all evolved from like what Bryles was doing in 2012 or whatever. But he's definitely like, he is a veer and shoot guy through and through. But the offense has evolved so much. It's taken on more, kind of like how the air raid, like with Mike Leach, it was like, no, we don't really run the ball. We're literally going to throw it 50 times every time. We'll throw it 60 or 70 times. And then all of Leach's assistants kind of evolved it to where, like, you look at like Riley or Arbuckle, and now they're like, yeah, we still throw it a lot, but now we also run like GT counter and quarterback run and stuff like. So veer and shoot is kind of like that too.
Leach talked a big game. Leach talked a big game, but he still ran the ball at Tech.
Some.
No. Some. Obviously, some.
A lot less
for a couple years with Ricky Williams. The guy
they
threw the ball.
They threw that ball. They threw that guy the ball a lot too.
Yeah, a little toss to the flat was to them also like a de facto handoff.
Yeah. Their 08 team that beat Texas was a little blast from the past that's unpleasant to revisit. Muschamp went into that game with like this like pass stopping dime, and Tech ran it down their throats for a quarter or two until Muschamp was like, okay, forget that. And so that was one of their teams that would actually run the ball if you just made it super easy. But like Holgerson and some of his other disciples were like, we're going to run and we're going to throw on play action. And it was very different than how Leach had done it.
Let me help Chris Bennett out. No, not Ricky, the fullback. Ricky Williams, the running back for Texas Tech.
He was like right after Ricky Williams.
He was.
And he got like
drafted and played in the league.
He was like his opposite. Because Texas Tech,
it was Little Ricky and Big Ricky.
Yeah, he was like 5'7", 180 or something, and he was water bug fast.
He was a little pinball.
Yeah, he was great.
I got a quick story, a funny story. So
he was like Quentin Griffin. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my son is a collector, sports cards, memorabilia, stuff like that. And somebody had bought him a Ricky Williams autographed rookie card or whatever. And so he gave it to him and he was so fired up. And we started looking at, we're like, this isn't the Ricky Williams you think it is. This is the other Ricky Williams. He had actually, I think he got drafted by the Colts. I think that was his first team. And so, but it was kind of funny. He's like, I thought that he looked a little differently. And it's hard to tell on the card because there's just not a lot of visual there. But yeah, he thought it was a Ricky Williams from Texas, and it wound up being one from Texas Tech. So now we have both.
Before we get going and get to the last part of the schedule, we've got to show some love to our other sponsor. That is Andre the Lawyer.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results. Andre the Lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the Lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
All right, now we get to some of the fun part of the schedule, the challenging part of the schedule. Before we get to LSU, though, they have to go to Missouri. Haven't been there, since had to be like 11, right? Something like that.
Was it the Fozzie Whitaker game?
It may have been. It's like 11 because then they
fixed the turf by now.
They left the SEC in 12, left for the SEC in 12. And I am not a Eli Drinkwitz believer. I think he's a schedule merchant. Aside from the year they beat Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl without any of their starting quarterbacks, Austin Simmons is good. Drinkwitz is good, but I don't see this team being that much of a big threat, except if Simmons takes a big step up.
What about Hardy? Do they still have Ahmad Hardy?
I think he's got one more year.
I think they lean on him more. And actually, I think they're building their lines pretty well. I don't see a lot of skill, right? I don't see a lot of skill guys there.
It's in Columbia.
Yeah, that's trouble.
They're spending money on their O-line. They're spending some money in some key places there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Missouri shortened the game and just went with a run-heavy style to just keep it competitive and look at possessions.
They're better than Kentucky.
That's good.
Or they will be better than Kentucky was last year.
Well, they have Kentucky-level athletes on their defense because Kentucky's defense, I agree with you on offense, but, man, I don't know what it is about Kentucky and Lexington, but they have a few defensive guys drafted, I feel like, almost every year.
Mark, the Stoops know what they're looking for with defense.
That makes sense. Because there's guys in the league starting that actually played at Kentucky. It's a surprisingly good defensive school.
Yeah.
All right, Ian, let's get to LSU. And I think one of the things that Z Williams, he's been bringing a lot of great stuff in the chat. He pushed against this notion that Lane is veer and shoot at this point, and that Lane is kind of he's just gone away from that because he doesn't use those wide splits. And I think you're both right. I think it's one of those things where I got to cough again. I feel like Lane has pulled from the veer and shoot what he wants to add to his overall offense. Is that a fair?
I would say he's still more veer and shoot. than not.
Really?
He's always brought a ton of stuff. What he does well that Lebby also does, and more of those guys are doing, is what I was saying earlier
About GJ Kinney. They're evolving it
Kinney,
into what they already had.
Lashley. I love Lashley for this too. They're
Yes.
really good at formationing space and then attacking that space, which is the same principle I try to live by with my flag football designs.
There you go.
But
I love it. Tell me more.
you can formation your guys into different places to create space that you can
Yes.
then attack.
Yes, I
So
know where you're
sometimes
going.
they do it with the ultra wide splits. Sometimes they'll do it where they'll have like Kiffin will have like one receiver way out, and then the slot receiver will be like almost right next to the tackle. And so the space in between them is massive. And so it's like, well, that slot is going to end up running an out. It's pretty obvious, but it's hard to stop because he's created so much space by alignment. They have all sorts of tricks like that. So it's becoming, we're getting a little derailed. Don't mention this guy too much. He's overly, I had to mute this guy on Twitter. He's always trying to send me messages and argue with me. The guy in the chat. They have expanded the ways in which spacing and geometry can boost an offense.
You go from LSU to Arkansas, still not exactly sure what Ryan Silverfield's going to do. We'll see what happens there. And then you get to
They'll run the ball.
They'll run the ball. And then you get to Marcel Reed and A&M and the power spread. And the thing that ties everything together, and I know you mentioned it earlier, is that all these guys are, even within their own offenses, they're dual threat quarterbacks. And I don't know if I can get the full listing here. And Ian, I had to add in the completions over the attempts for you on this one.
Why?
Well, because attempts is just kind of sitting there on its own. It's kind of hard to tell what it is.
How do you not? All right. It looks fine.
I don't
left it
normally
out on
think
purpose.
quarterbacks and like, oh, how many attempts did they have? It's like, I kind of want to know.
You should. That's
I
all you
wanna know what
need.
their completion percent. It's
No,
like
you don't need to
batting
know the
average.
completion. You have the YPA. You don't need the completion percentage.
I unfortunately cannot do 9.2 times 352 over my head.
Well, okay.
Rob Gronkowski can.
I know.
You don't need to know the completion percentage.
It's like batting average. Is it perfect? No. Do I still want to know it?
The
Yes.
completion.
I still want to know batting average.
Yeah.
The YPA tells you how efficient their passing is.
Fair enough, but I still want to know how many.
Completion percentage does not
Over
tell you
deliver,
how,
under promise, Boyd.
completion percentage does not tell you what the efficiency is. You could be
I
a
agree
lower.
with that.
It
Yes,
gives
but
you an idea.
You don't
I
need
just
it.
want to know what his completion percentage was.
You don't need to know.
Fair enough. But as you go through Texas schedule,
I love you.
you've got the dual threat quarterbacks, and they don't get a ton really until they hit mid-October. And I think, Brad Jack basically, the Oklahoma game is going to present almost a newfound challenge in a way that the game, in a different way than the game always presents a newfound challenge.
Wait, why?
Because it's the first real threatening dual threat quarterback in a Power 4 offense that they'll see.
Well, I did say Oklahoma might be 2 times better personnel-wise, but Brad Jackson and the Bobcat offense might still be better than Oklahoma's offense. We'll see. We'll see how far the Sooners have come.
And that's a good thing for Texas, in my opinion.
It'd be better if it wasn't.
Don't go into don't bring the Buckeyes in blind. Give us some look. Give them some looks.
Yeah, but Texas is gonna look over the Bobcats so hard.
Probably, but let's not say that.
It's gonna happen.
So
Everybody's gonna be pissing their pants for a week because Texas is gonna beat Texas State like 35-27, and everyone's gonna be like, Muschamp was a fraud. We were sold a false bill of goods. Why did the offense take so long to get in gear? Ohio State is going to come and take our firstborn children off in their plunder. It's going to be awful. And then there'll be a completely different team when Ohio State comes to town because they were sandbagging. We all know it's coming.
So one of the questions when you have this dual threat nature, and it's something that I also think that college football fans have been a little slow to grasp, is that all these bowl games, conference championship games, playoff games count towards statistics. And so when I look at Trinidad Chambliss and I see 133 for 527,
You're like,
yeah,
whoa.
okay. Yeah, but then I'm like, oh, he played
4 extra games.
He played 15 games.
Well, he didn't because he took over the starting job like 2 games in or something.
Right. He still played. Well, correct. But he still he appeared in those. I know what you mean. Yes. So he had 13 games as a starter.
It balances out.
Yes. Okay. I saw the excuse me, the game total, but I ignored the Georgia State and Kentucky result. Either way, like, again, this one I'll go with you on. It's the yards per carry that you really need to look out for, especially when you consider sack total being.
Well, yeah, I
was only 2.
I actually don't love yards per carry for quarterback run game as much, but I include it.
The sacks throw that off?
Yeah, sacks throw it off.
Okay, yeah, I would.
I maybe the most important thing here is the volume, how many carries they got.
That's a good point.
And then the touchdowns, because then that tells you if this is like a red zone deal or not. So like somebody up like Mateer and Chambliss scoring 8 is a lot. But who is it above? Jackson had freaking 17. 17 rushing touchdowns is something else. That's more than Ellinger had that one year.
Let's see how big of a kid Jackson is.
Yeah, it was.
He's not.
I think Sam had 18 and 20.
He had 16 and 18.
He's
16 and 18.
6 foot 200. So it's not like he was.
Right.
Go down a little bit, Joe. Just go down a hair. Ian, what do you make of A&M going all in with Marcel Reed? Have we not seen enough from him in the last 2 years? Obviously, he can get better. Kids get better. Quarterbacks make jumps from year to year. But haven't we? Isn't Marcel kind of who we thought he is? And why is Elko all in with this in a third year? I just feel like they have such a better surrounding cast now. If they were to go in the portal and added a veteran quarterback, I think that would have been the best road for A&M. Why is Reed still this guy?
They're going to need a dual threat this year.
That would have cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
That would have cost a lot of money. I mean, couldn't you say the same for Sark? It's like this guy can't win the championship with the top payroll in 3 years. He may be good, but shouldn't we just go get Lane Kiffin and fire him? And
no, that's not the thing. That's not apples to oranges at all. Well, I'm asking you about Marcel Reed. I'm not asking about Sark. I want to know what is it about Reed?
That good to great jump is really hard to make.
It is. Yeah. Arch did it in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He's
special.
So again,
why
are they putting all?
I don't know that they're all
in on this basket.
I don't know that they're all in on Reed though. It's not like they went out and bought.
Who else do they have
for this year? But I don't think he's like my tenure at A&M is going to hinge on what I get out of Marcel Reed.
He goes 0-3 against Texas. It don't matter what his tenure in College Station is.
They're not going to fire him.
0-3 against Texas.
They're not going to fire him.
They won't fire him.
I'm not saying that. I'm wondering why they're relying on this guy when I think we've seen the bill of goods.
I would do the same thing.
I saw Reed make a jump from the year before to last year. I saw it. He made a jump. I don't know if there's another jump for him. I think he is who he is.
Well, I would
if you force him left, I guarantee you he is what he is.
I think they need a quarterback familiar with their offense who's also a dual threat because they lost a lot of O-linemen.
You're right. You're
Reed
right.
And
he's a vet. He's a veteran. Knows the scheme. He's comfortable. He's got the trust of the locker room of the players. I get that. I just feel like A&M is close, and I think the quarterback might be the one that sets them over, and I think Reed's the one that sets them back.
No, they're not close enough to need to worry about that. I don't think. Also, it's possible that what Reed is bad at probably plays worst with a bad O-line. Because, yes, he can escape, but he has some – the more that you encourage him to try to run around and escape, the more you're going to encourage him into some of his
Bad decisions.
worst habits.
Yes.
So, I mean, they're not going to go 11-1 again. They probably take a step back.
Well, yeah, they don't have the same schedule.
They don't have it. Yeah, that's the biggest factor, right? But I think overall in their roster plan, they're not yet at their like. Now
No,
we've got the pieces to win. So that it's like might as well play Reed.
Might as well.
Might as well.
Hey, listen, that's a headline in College Station. Might as well. Like if I'm Elko, I'm trying to sell. We just A&M just made the playoffs. We're gonna make another move. We're gonna take another step. What about Marcel Reed? Might as well.
I will say this for Reed. If he gets a lot smarter with game management, maybe they finally find a slot to stick the A&M playbook on his private jet so he can read it a little more. He is one of the best athletes I've ever seen play quarterback.
I don't disagree.
When you watch him move, he is quick in a different way than like almost any quarterback you'll ever find.
Yeah, it's called slot receiver.
Fair enough. But he is that level. He's like
He has the skills of a receiver, but he's a quarterback.
He's just good enough at
The best
quarterback.
athletic quarterback you've ever seen, Ian. Please don't do this, man. All right, you got me heartburn with the Kenneth Murray, Anthony Hill bull smucky last week, and now we're talking about Marcel Reed is the best athlete. Have you ever seen Michael Vick in 2000 for Virginia Tech? There's no humanity there. He was an alien. That's the best athlete at quarterback we've ever seen in the sport of football. So don't come and say Marcel Reed might be the best athlete at quarterback. That hurt my
I
heart.
said one of the best, I think.
That hurt my heart.
I would go Lamar Jackson. Probably at the top.
Okay. Right under Vic. Right under Vic.
I haven't seen enough of Vic.
Go to
Okay.
YouTube. I got something for you.
Uh,
Nobody in the sport had seen anything like Michael Vick. Bobby Bowden. Michael Vick was eliminating angles from NFL DBs running 4.3s.
I think his
Like it
NFL
was-
highlights are kind of better than his college. They didn't really use him enough in college. His running
Oh,
totals
yeah,
in
yeah.
college
Well, he
are
was
hilarious.
limited. He was limited. They brought in some guys after him, running back Kevin Jones. They brought in a couple other big name guys from that Virginia area. But no, Beamer didn't know how to use him because no one had ever seen anything like him before. Everybody had just thrown him to a position, a skill position, and not actually let him play quarterback. After that Sugar Bowl against Florida State, Bobby Bowden was like, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Vince Young is up there, obviously.
Vince was more of a winner.
Vince Young is AJ Green who can throw the football.
Vince
Actually,
Young,
that's a good comp.
I showed my son, he's like, eats, sleeps, and breathes football now that he's 10.
Good. You've trained him well.
Too well, honestly.
No, that's
And I
not
was showing him Vince Young's comeback against USC, so it's like fresh in my mind. And Vince Young is up there. He was insanely athletic.
the thing that Vince, I think, separated him a lot, and not just the competitiveness and wanting to win. I felt like he was in better shape than anybody else they played. In the fourth quarter, he wasn't sweating. He wasn't huffing and puffing. Honestly, he was better as the game went on. And I just thought he'll wear teams down. This style will wear you down. And by the fourth quarter, the defense is tired of chasing that guy.
He was shockingly quick for how tall he was.
Yeah, 6.
So everything was always
Yes.
effortless
Yes.
because he could get lateral in a way that was
Hey, that
really
freshman,
unique.
sophomore year, that redshirt freshman, and then his sophomore year, that was when he was gliding. That first Oklahoma game.
So with
I
all
remember.
this in mind, with how crazy threatening a dual threat quarterback can be to a defense, Ian, what's the path forward for Muschamp to tie it all together and finish this up?
Well, I'm going to get into that more next week, but my main point in this article was like they need a plan for this. And I started to get into the plan a little bit, and it was like the word count was going to get to like a book. So like, let's not do that. Let's save some. It's a long off season.
There you go.
They need to have a plan for dual threat quarterbacks in the spread on defense. Like that's like 50% of the schedule is proven dangerous dual threat quarterbacks in a spread offense. So that's what you need to do. If you can handle that, you can go to the playoffs. If you focus almost exclusively on that and get really good at it, you can make the playoffs. That's how loaded the schedule is with that style. And then offensively, they need to play. This is right up Stark's alley. They have all the pieces for it. But the best way to handle these spread teams is you match them in pace and aggression early. You try to score, put points on the scoreboard to put pressure on them. And then when you have a lead, you send in Michael Masunis and you run the dang ball. You shorten the game.
I can live with that. Anything else, Justin, Ian?
We got to save some bullets for the chamber.
I know.
We got a long off season.
Justin, you mind taking us home?
Let's go. Let's go. Hey, this is the time to start right now. Come see us at InsideTexas.com. We love the viewers here, but we want to see you on the message board. We are running a special right now. It's only $1. And I'm telling you, this really is a fun time. We are right in the start of Texas baseball season. We are right there with the horns being bubbleistic on in March Madness. And then we got spring football literally less than a month away. Actually only a few weeks away. So there really isn't a better time to come see Ian Boyd, Joe Cook, Eric Nahlin, Charlie Williams, Paul Wadlington, R.T. Young, Evan the Beef, Keenan Womack. If I missed you, I love you. We've got a lot over there at InsideTexas.com. Come see us. It really is the best time.
Finally, the last minute is where the mute button gets me for a second. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time on IT Live, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.